to you recently, in fact, I think it was just yesterday. The headline talked about your criticism of the Red Line Rail project. Is there any truth to that story? And of course, the story also says that the governor of Lagos State said you were spreading false information about who started this Red Line Rail project. Could you maybe clarify, give us some sort of clarification on this story?
Okay, thank you. So the point that we're trying to bring is to allow for Lagosians to not be distracted and to understand what is truly happening with their Commonwealth. It has taken 16 years to get 16 kilometers of rail. That's the blue line. The contract was signed for about 27 to 29 kilometers. It was stopped short at 16 kilometers, right? The government, by their own plan over the last 17, 18 years, is supposed to have a total of about 175 kilometers. They've barely done 10% of that in 16 years. Now, the red line, the actual track, because Lagos State signed a sharing agreement with this standard gauge line with the federal government. And we're saying that we're interested in the amount of track Lagos needs to build for the state to work properly. And the cost at which is building these things per kilometer. If the blue line is taking 16 years to do, how many years is it going to take 160 kilometers to be done, right? And while we applaud them for their intervention with the federal government and the stations that they've built, let us not rest on mediocrity. Mediocre people will never be great. They will always keep sliding. So yes, we can be happy that this has been done. We also acknowledge that they are sharing that track, but we need Lagos State to lay its tracks based on the plans that it has. And if they see they do not have the capacity to do it, they should invite the private sector to come in and do these projects, right? The state itself does not have to carry the financial burden if they are not up to the task. Because 16 years to deliver 16 kilometers of rail is a failure anywhere in the world. It's an absolute failure. And unfortunately, we have come to a state as Nigerians where we just accept any level of mediocrity, right? Ethiopia is building 37.5 kilometers of rail in 3 years. High-speed trains, not trams, right? So the conversation that we're trying to put forward was to align Lagosians with the idea that, listen, you need 170 kilometers of rail based on the APC's own plan, right? You've gotten 16 kilometers of it and a shared conduit with the federal government, which is the red line, but you still need so much more. And we need the government to sit up and start to deliver these lines in record time. If they do not have the financial capacity to do it as themselves, let the private sector come in. I've sat down with private sector individuals that have approached the state government to do these lines, but they were rebuffed because they could not offer equity to the individuals in the government or whatever reason, right? So we need an open, transparent system that says, okay, we do not have the capacity to do this. It's taking too long. The 20 million residents of Lagos State need an effective network of rail connecting them, and we're going to open it up to do things in a quick way.